A beautiful evening to you and welcome. This is MarketSquare. I'm your host, Oluwak Pelubi. We're so glad to have you with me tonight and to also have my co-host, Olaito Adiba. Olaito, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great tonight, and you?
I'm doing very well. So we have so many things to talk about tonight. Let's jump into it right away. The first headline is the Naira-for-Crude deal stalls. The Federal Executive Council Committee, led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the 13th of September 2024, announced that local refineries would purchase crude oil in Naira and the corresponding purchase of petroleum products in Nigeria. It was stated that the NNPC was going to supply about 11.5 million barrels of crude oil to Dangote Refinery monthly, and in return, the plant will release equivalent volumes of refined diesel and petrol to the domestic market, also in Naira. This initiative, approved by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, at the time he approved it, was expected to reduce foreign exchange demand by 40% and then stabilize our Naira. At the time, to discuss that issue at the time, I had a guest on the show named Professor Gershon, who is a professor at Covenant University, who shared perspective about why this was such a good move by the federal government of Nigeria. Take a listen to the answer of Professor Gershon when I asked him how buying crude in dollars was an impediment to our growth in Nigeria. Take a listen. That the idea of sourcing crude oil in dollars was an impediment, and how was that an impediment to the improvement of things in our country here?
Thank you. That's a brilliant question. It was a serious impediment, and if it's not stopped, it remains a serious impediment to Nigeria's macroeconomic development. I'd want to make it simple for your listeners. So if you think about the local food they have in southwest Nigeria, amala. Amala is made from yam, and amala is sold in Naira. Imagine that the yam is bought in dollars and then used to produce amala that is sold in Naira. So whatever happens to the dollar-Naira exchange rate automatically affects the price of the amala. In the case of Nigeria, we produce crude oil locally. And so if Nigeria stops importing petroleum products based on US dollars, it takes away all of the foreign exchange shocks from Nigeria fundamentally. And so if we produce crude oil in Nigeria and then it's sold to Dangote or any local refinery in Naira, then we can easily say we don't need to begin to look for dollars to import those petroleum products. And that then protects the Nigerian economy from the shocks of exchange rate fluctuations.
Wow.
All Second.
Right. Okay, go on, please. Go on.
Yes. If you allow me, I want to go ahead. The second thing it does is the dollars we were using to import petroleum products previously could then be channeled to some other local domestic entrepreneurial endeavors,
yes,
manufacturing. Third reason is it also ensures that the Naira is protected. The crude oil is produced here, so why not we denominate the contracts in Naira? However, there's a caveat. We have to look for a means to ensure that the local refineries that buy our crude oil in Naira.
By turn, there is a growing uncertainty over when the Naira-for-Crude policy will take off because although the technical subcommittee on domestic sales of crude oil in local currency affirmed that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited will begin supplying crude oil in Naira to Dangote Refinery as of Tuesday, October 1st, 2024, the federal government had yet to release the necessary guidelines for implementation. And even as we speak today, the 3rd of October 2024, that has not been released yet. What could be the delay factors to this?
So the technical subcommittee actually stated that the NNPC would supply Dangote Refinery petroleum by October 1st. But the deal hasn't gone through as at today, this night. And these could be to different factors.
Okay.
First, the government, this is the first time Nigeria is selling crude in Naira. Okay. This delay can actually be to the federal government addressing several regulatory frameworks to ensure compliance with the existing law. And this can actually take a long process since it's the first time.
Definitely.
Another issue is the fluctuation of the exchange rates, of the Naira exchange rates, because some stakeholders might be worried that this fluctuation might affect me bringing potential losses in future. Another thing we have to look at is the logistical issues, because coordinating the logistics of crude oil in local currency is very complex issues, which will actually take time, because transportation is very crucial in the oil sector, and Nigeria has over the years faced in its oil factory and pipelines has faced several inefficiency and vandalism, which can actually slow down the time of delivery of this oil. Another issue is that another factor that can actually delay this thing is the technical readiness, because the federal government will want to put in place a technical team that will ensure the efficiency of this deal to go on smoothly. Because this technical readiness, we actually want to test the Naira transaction to make sure it is ready before you actually go on with the plan. This can actually slow down the process. And also, there might be another internal political dynamics which can also contribute to this delay.
Absolutely. I do agree with the point you've said, because it was quite expected that this would have gone through on the first day of September, because October rather.
Yes.
Because when the news came out that this was going to happen, to the delight of many, in fact, I was excited about it to even have a guest come on the show and share perspective with regards to what this would do to our economy. But as it stands now, we're not so sure. There's uncertainty around the possibility of that happening soon. A lot of questions with regards to why has this not taken place already. You spoke about technical issues there,
yes,
logistics issue. Why was this not recommended or fixed before this time? Because when you make promise to the people, they look forward to the day you have said you're going to make this happen. And that again is hope dashed for many Nigerians. And they just hope the federal government is able to sit in quickly and ensure that this has been fixed as soon as possible. Let's say before the end of this week, because this is Thursday night, let's say before Friday night, and then people can even smile by Saturday or Sunday before Monday. That should have been fixed, so people can actually buy fuel at the price that is fair to them, and you just have that being bought there. There are many things, many benefits of that happening. I think Professor Gershon already mentioned that in the clip we saw some moments back. Second headline we need to look at on the show tonight is the World Bank's approval of Nigeria's bid for over $1 billion request from the World Bank. Earlier in the week, the World Bank announced the approval of a $1.57 billion financing package for Nigeria under a new program to support its health, educational sector, and also help provide sustainable power supply in the West African country. According to the World Bank, the new financing includes $500 million for addressing governance issues that have affected the smooth delivery of education and health. And also $570 million will be used to power up the primary health care provision strengthening program. And also $500 million there will be allocated for the sustainable power and irrigation for Nigeria project. Now, according to the Debt Management Office, as at March 2024, and even up until now, the World Bank is Nigeria's largest lender with more than $15 billion in loan. When I heard this at first, the first thing that came to my mind, the light on, was Nigeria's rising debt burden. But looking at the recent happenings, especially with the flooding and how up to 1 million people, you'll see a video on the screen that shows how the flooding in the northeastern part of Nigeria has not been exactly the best. There was a time when there was a dam burst in Borno State, the northeastern part of Nigeria, and also the news that authorities in Cameroon, you see on the screen right now, a drone footage, they are showing a lot of the issues there in Borno State caused by the dam burst in Borno State. And also there was the news about authorities in Cameroon beginning to release water from a large dam to prevent overflow. So I had a moment of reflection. I started considering the use of the funds approved. So do you have more cases that favor this approved grant? Because for me, I have concerns with the fact that our debt burden is becoming heavier, and the fact that the next regime would have a lot to do with regards to paying up debt. So what do you think are more cases that you could say, okay, maybe you're the lawyer for the government now saying, this is why we had to get loan from the World Bank, and what outcomes should be expected given the loan we've gotten and how soon?
Yeah, definitely. This approval is a major boost for the Nigeria's economic recovery and also development, as it will enhance critical sectors like the primary sector, the basic education and primary health sector, as well as this flooding issue, this water management. It would also help address this issue, because this funding will help increase effectiveness of funding for finance and for basic education to the most vulnerable people in the population. Especially Nigeria, a report has shown that Nigeria is among the top countries with the highest number of out of school children, especially in the north due to insecurity. This finance will be able to provide basic education, like the basic education to them. And also, this finance will also help the primary health sector to focus on maternal and underrate mortality of in the Nigeria healthcare sector.
Okay.
And also, this money, as stated by the World Bank, it said that part of this funding should be used for this water management, because this money, if it's channeled, it will be able to like strengthen the and also improve the maintenance, whereby it will safeguard the lives and properties of the people.
Definitely.
And also, when speaking about the outcome, it will definitely, these approved grants will definitely bring about positive outcome in the sense that improved infrastructure, enhanced basic access to education and also to services, and also improve the economic stabilization, which will in the process bring about more job creation and also reduce poverty in Nigeria. But when we're looking at it about the expected when this will take effect, if it is implemented now to like in 2 or 3 years now, we'll actually like see the results. But for the longer benefits, it will actually take time to yield, depending on the effectiveness of the project.
Well, I see that. I see that a lot. But there are other things you've mentioned that are really valid.
Yeah.
But again, when I'm about to ask you the question, I told you how that I had some moment, I had pushback with regards to accepting the fact that we are going to the World Bank again to get some money more.
Yeah.
But again, seeing the fact that we've seen flooding happen, we'll also see the dam burst and there are gaps to be filled. Again,
this funding can actually like
help fix that. But again, Nigeria, we get money from the World Bank. Like I mentioned already, that we've gotten over 15 billion from the World Bank. World Bank stands as our largest lender as a nation. Now, if that is the case, then we may need to do more by tracking these funds, by making sure that the money is used for what it's been allocated for. And I think the World Bank has a structure that helps to monitor these things. So before they give you money, there's a structure on ground that helps you to be able to say, okay, this is how we are going to do short-term, medium-term, and long-term benefit. How do we project? How do we measure your progress short term? Because if you will need to go back to the World Bank to borrow money. You're a country, you're an African country, you may need to go back to the World Bank to borrow money. And if you did not use the money you were given before this time, right, you may not get some money from them. So I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing that the World Bank is beginning to sit on Nigeria and say, do this, do that, do this. And from the time we also implemented we liberalize exchange rate as well. Also remove fuel subsidy. The World Bank has been open to us getting more money from that system. So let's see how this plays out in days to come, and trust us on MarketSquare to give you updates in regards to how this goes. The third line we're looking at update in the week is about Starlink. How that Starlink has double subscription price in Nigeria to 75,000 naira. Starlink, which is a satellite internet company owned by SpaceX, by the popular Elon Musk, has doubled its base subscription prices in Nigeria, citing soaring inflation in the African country. The standard residential plan with a 1 terabyte fair usage policy will now cost 75,000 naira, up from 38,000 naira. Starlink skits beyond their homes or workplaces within Nigeria will now cost 167,000 naira per month, up from 49,000 naira. International roaming will now cost 717,000 naira per month. Existing customers will begin paying this new rate starting October 31st, while new subscribers will immediately be subjected to the reversed pricing. In an email sent to customers, Starlink cited this increase due to excessive levels of inflation. I have a guest on the show today who is a Starlink installer who will shed light about this encounter with Starlink customers. Before this time, I spoke to my guest, Segun Gbadebo, who is a Starlink installer, about his experience, and he gave a live experience, told me a live experience of what happened. I told him to come on the show tonight to tell us about his experience. So Segun Gbadebo, who is a Starlink installer, welcome to the show. I have just one quick question for you on MarketSquare tonight. Tell us about your most recent installation of Starlink for a customer. Any change in the price and potential impact? Give us a live story of an incident that happened at the point of you trying to install Starlink. Welcome, Segun.
Actually, I have a counter with different customers, like trying to share their opinions and how they feel, how they felt about the increments that happened on Starlink. Like existing customer will begin, like according to Starlink, which is Elon Musk. We all know that Starlink is an internet provider. It's an internet provider that a lot of people have been enjoying, because Starlink have different. You have a lot of package, like you have a lot of package compared to some of our or some of other internet provider in Nigeria. I don't want to be mentioning names, but because our subject is on Starlink. Because Starlink, once you buy your Starlink dick, a Starlink, you can before last month when you have to 30,000 as a subscription, that subscription will lasted you for a month, and download as you like, share, give. A lot of people can use it. You have a lot of benefits. You understand? But Elon Musk stated that for them, because of the value, the comparison between dollars and naira, that's one of these that really brought these implementations in the changes. I mean, the changes in the in the subscription, and even selling the kits, selling the devices. It's that because of the falling in nairas. Before Elon Musk charged each buyer, each customers, I mean users, 38,000 per month. Equivalent, that 38,000 equivalents to $22. The money moved from 28,000 to 75,000, while that 75,000 is now $50. I mean, those people that always enjoy these 30,000 people, these are people that they are in personal plans. But there's some customer also that they prefer using mobile regional, that mobile regional that you can use in all African country, on all African country. Yes, that one is 49,000, but that one is for 49,000 before. It has moved to 167,000, which equivalents to $100. So existing customer will begin to pay these new rates stated on October 31st. Why new users? Because that new user I explained on October 1st, because I helped a customer. One of my customer bought a Starlink from me. When I wanted to pay the money, I was thinking the money would be 30,000. got to Elon Musk's website. I discovered the money has been input to 75,000. The user have no choice. The user have no choice after getting her device. She has no choice than to pay that 75,000. But can you now imagine for a lower class in this country, how will you be able to like pay that money? Yeah, there's a lot of customer called me, because I have a lot of customer that help them to maintain their customer I help them to maintain their device. I also pay for their subscription every month. Many of them are complaining that they need to sell their Starlink, they need to pause it. So because of the importance and the value that a lot of people enjoy in Starlink, some also are already looking for other means how they can start making money, started maintaining their subscriptions. And what really brought about this increment is the inflations in dollars, in nairas, because the market is not really favor Elon Musk, and the only means how they can maintain that value, yes, that quality internet that all their users have been experiences, or all their values, all the package that was attached to Starlink. For them to maintain all those packages, they have no choice than to increase the prices. Both if you want to buy a new device, and also if you want to start paying for your subscriptions. So when my interaction with some of my customers, some said they don't have choice, especially those people that they are earning in dollars. Some people that are earning in dollars, they just say how much is $50. But some people that they are earning in naira, especially some small company, micro company, that they are micro organization, that they are using Starlink to run their organization, they don't have choice than to like go back to their local internet providers. That has been my challenge to me. Before I used to say like 5 device per day, 7 per day. For now, hardly I see. From my experience from from October to October 1st now, I sold only 2 devices, which really affects me as a seller. And I also understand the impact on my buyer also, because you need to think twice. How will I able to maintain it? How will I able to maintain this thing after buying it? Even it's not about buying the device now, it's about how you be able to renew your subscription every month. This has been our challenge so far. And a lot of customers have been complaining that how are they going to be doing this now? Even some even told me that it's ready to sold out his device because it can don't have the that 75,000 naira to be paying every month. So we are still hoping if naira will be able to like pick up again, because there was a time that dollar also pick up again with dollar and like naira also pick up again with dollar, like the price also Elon Musk also reduced the price. This time around, dollar is also pick up again. Paraventures, Starlink price subscription will come down. Hoping. Thank you so much, Mr. Oluwapelumi.
Shegun, they're telling us about the happenings with regards to the increase in the price of subscription by Starlink and how that it has affected people. Some people are deciding to pull out of the system. They're thinking of pulling out of the system, selling their decoders because they are unable to pay up. All right, let's now have international news by Olai Tom Adebayo. Over to you.
Yeah. Moving on to the international news. Zambia reaches $1.5 billion debt restructuring agreement with the Chinese lenders. Finance Minister Situmbeko Muso has announced that Zambia has reached an agreement with 2 Chinese state-owned lenders, China Development Bank and Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, to restructure $1.5 billion in debt. This development is a major step aimed at stabilizing its economy and promoting sustainable growth. Zambia, one of the Africa's most heavily indebted nations, has been engaged in lengthy negotiations to restructure its debts with various creditors, a situation worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic, which destabilized its economy and hindered its ability to meet financial obligations. Recent agreements with China Development Bank and Industrial and Commercial Bank of China are crucial to this restructuring efforts, as this debt owed to these lenders represents a significant portion of Zambia's liability. While this agreement offers relief for Zambia, it also highlights concerns about China's broader lending practice, commonly criticized as debt trap diplomacy. Palumi, what might be the potential long-term implication of this debt restructuring for Zambians?
Well, there's something called the debt trap diplomacy, and from that you already know that it's something that China is fronting, and pretty much it means that when the lender chooses to keep the borrower in a circle of lending. What that means is when I make it easy for you to borrow money from me, then what I have done is I have given you liberty to go into more debt. And that's what China is doing to many African countries, especially Zambia. And it's been on ground for a while. While you were speaking the other time, before asking me the question, a video was played on the screen that suggests a particular project done. It's called the Kafue Power Plant Project. It was inaugurated in 2015 and then was perfected in 2023. And it was funded by China. And then again, you also have a particular project done, the copper project done, sponsored by China as well. Now, all of that is to ensure that the country Zambia is kept in debt. So what Zambia is trying to do now is to say, let's restructure the debt frame, the debt system, how we pay back our debt, and how we are able to ensure that we don't go into debt. Because the thing is, every time you borrow money from a country or from a system, you hand over your economic liberty, you hand over your political liberty. They're able to influence things. And so that's what has happened to Zambia over the years. And the pandemic, COVID-19 didn't make it even easier for them, because they went into more issues before they got back to their level in terms of economic stability, in terms of growth and recovery. It was quite a lot. So I think it's a good thing that Zambia is thinking of restructuring the debt. Again, my recommendation already would be that, stop borrowing money from China, right? look at what you have. Look at what you have within you. Zambia has a very strong, when it has copper, they have a very strong mineral storage of copper. They can't take from that. They have resource copper there. So they can really maximize that instead of going out to borrow more money. Because if you keep borrowing money, you will go into more debt. And then it becomes what we call the debt trap diplomacy, where you begin to use your national asset as a collateral for the money you are getting. So I think it's high time that China and Zambia begin to look at that. So the implication will be, for me, will be level of stability, will be some level of sovereignty where they are not under subjection to answering questions as put to them or suggestions put to them by China. So those are my postulations with regards to what could happen in the future.
Yeah, like you said, like more countries can actually like draw from what you actually said, because most countries should actually make use of their own resources before reaching out to other lenders for their support. Because
sure. I spoke about Nigeria already, that we have over 15 billion naira we've gotten from the World Bank,
and World Bank.
And then they defined their terms, saying if you want us to borrow you money, you need to remove fuel subsidy, you need to liberalize your currency. So they will define these things, and China is making it easy for more countries to borrow. We saw how Kenya some time back, almost there was chaos in the airport where it was said that the government was trying to borrow money from a particular group, and then they said they're going to take over Kenya's airport there. So we're not doing this for the present. In fact, with 2018, I was at an event where I was a debater at the time, and I did mention that when a man sells his house because he wants to eat, that man will sleep outside after eating. That's deep, isn't it?
That's deep.
Let me say it again.
It's more like looking for a permanent solution to a temporary situation.
Absolutely. So if you sell your house because you want to eat, you will sleep outside after eating.
Definitely.
So that's my take on that.
Yeah. Thank you, Kwalumi. Moving on to the fifth headline. Zimbabwe's MPs demand clarity on gold-backed currency devaluation. Zimbabwe's gold-backed currency, the Zimbabwe gold, was launched in April to replace the inflation-ridden old Zimbabwean dollar. It is intended to circulate alongside other foreign currencies until 2030 and is backed by a combination of foreign exchange reserves and gold. However, it has lost over 40% of its value due to market pressure on the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe to implement a more realistic exchange rate. Legislators have called on for Finance Minister Mutli Nkube to deliver a ministerial statement regarding the devaluation of Zimbabwe's new gold-backed currency. This devaluation has once again undermined confidence in the country's currency system, adding to Zimbabwe's lengthy history of unsuccessful currency initiatives over the past 20 years. The currency's underperformance highlights a significant deficiency in the reserves needed to stabilize it, and without substantial foreign currency reserves and effective measures to restore confidence in the local currency, this depreciation is likely to worsen its weakness. Zimbabwe's gold-backed currency has recently depreciated by more than 40%. How do you think this gold currency system functioned prior to this devaluation? And how would this affect the Zimbabwe's economy?
Okay, well, thank you for the question. Well, Zimbabwe's economy over the years has relied on the US dollars to make transaction happen. So before now, Zimbabwe used to have two currencies. They would transact using the US dollars and also transact using their currency, which their currency was on a lower killer to the US currency. At some point, they had to fix it at some point. But after a while, they figured out that maybe they could do the zinc thing, right? Do the zinc thing where they had to say, okay, we're going to have a Zimbabwe gold-backed currency. It's called zinc, and it hasn't quite played out well because they believe that because gold is one of the things that appreciate. So you have land appreciates. Gold appreciates if you have any piece of gold at the moment, if you keep it for a while, by next year most likely you will sell it more than you got it this year. So that's gold appreciates, land appreciates, and so they believe that as long as gold exists, and gold is an appreciating quantity, appreciating the resource, that their currency will take shape and it will get to a level where it's stabilized. But again, it's not happened that way, and it's quite not exactly the best, because if you have a plan, you want to implement it, and you figure that you made boast about it, it's going to work out, and it's not working out, then there are issues. So there's a lot of devaluation happening, and I think on this show I've spoken about the idea of depreciation and devaluation. Devaluation is intentional. Depreciation is not intentional. So it means that your car will depreciate whether you like it or not. The land you bought will appreciate whether you like it or not. So the idea that they want to devaluate their currency again it's a failure on their part, because the intended idea of changing their currency to a gold-backed currency has not been achieved. And if this happened, they did it this year. He did it this year.
Yeah,
and if it has now depreciated by itself by more than 40%, it means that the ideas they had when they were thinking about making this a possibility has now failed. So what effect would this have on the Zimbabwe economy? Like every other depreciation, every other devaluation would have, when you sit down, it's going to bring down the purchasing power of your currency. You're not going to be able to import a lot. There's going to be a lot of export, because more countries now know they can buy more from your country. They can buy 2 for 1 from your country, right? So it means that you're not going to attract a lot of investment in terms of, maybe some investment, but again, anybody who invests in your country just knows he wants to put the money within your country, because if I invest in your country, I'm taking the money out of your country. What that does to me is that I'm not able to do so much with your currency out there. So there's going to be a lot of export happen, but reduced import because of the fact that the currency is going to be devaluated. Something else is that people who have companies in your country who earn dollars outside the country and want to keep the money within your country, we can now bring in more. They're the ones that were able to import a lot of things into your country. People who have saved up dollars before time can bring in more into your country. So it has some little bit of good side, but a lot of bad, a lot of unfair parts, a lot of negative part, I would say, would come in play because of this happening. And before they are able to be trusted again, it take a while, because investors are watching what you're doing with your economy. And if you don't do it right, they will not come in to invest again. So it's not a good time for the Zimbabwean people. And I think the government can step up its pursuit towards a stabilized economy.
Yeah, thank you. Because even most of the citizens, the business owners in the country do not even accept this new currency. Most of them are rejecting this new currency. And this will definitely have effects on the country's economy.
Absolutely.
With that, we have come to the end of tonight's show.
You want to follow us across all social media platforms on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on TikTok to get updates every time we post a video like this. And let's know what you think about this. All the things we've mentioned. We've spoken about the Naira-for-Crude deal be stalling. We've spoken about the Starlink issue in terms of what do you think the government can do? Do you think the government can step in here to stabilize things, just like the government is trying to do for DSTV, or did for DSTV rather? We also spoke about the idea. The World Bank has now lent Nigeria some amount of money again, on top of the one they did before. Spoken about the Zimbabwean dollar being an issue in the economy, and also Zambia as well, trying to restructure the debt issue in Zambia with China. Let's know what you think about any of the issues we've mentioned.
My name is Olaitan Adivayo.
My name is Oluwakwe Lubia. We'll see you on the next one.